Don't confuse schooling with education. I didn't go to Harvard, but the people that work for me did. Welcome. In today's episode, we will look at the quotes of the famous billionaire and visionary Elon Musk. Let's learn together from his wisdom and success. You want to have a future where you're expecting things to be better, not one where you're expecting things to be worse. Constantly think about how you could be doing things better. Persistence is very important. You should not give up unless you are forced to give up. If you go back a few hundred years, what we take for granted today would seem like magic. Being able to talk to people over long distances, to transmit images, flying, accessing vast amounts of data like an oracle. These are all things that would have been considered magic a few hundred years ago. Physics is a good framework for thinking. Boil things down to their fundamental truths and reason up from there. I like the word autopilot more than I like the word self-driving. Self-driving sounds like it's going to do something you don't want it to do. Autopilot is a good thing to have in planes, and we should have it in cars. If we drive down the cost of transportation in space, we can do great things. Really, the only thing that makes sense is to strive for greater collective enlightenment. In order for us to have a future that's exciting and inspiring, it has to be one where we're a space-bearing civilization. I think it is possible for ordinary people to choose to be extraordinary. When you struggle with a problem, that's when you understand it. Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. I really do encourage other manufacturers to bring electric cars to market. It's a good thing, and they need to bring it to market and keep iterating and improving, and make better and better electric cars, and that's what's going to result in humanity achieving a sustainable transport future. I wish it was growing faster than it is. The first step is to establish that something is possible, then probability will occur. If something is important enough, even if the odds are against you, you should still do it. If you're trying to create a company, it's like baking a cake. You have to have all the ingredients in the right proportion. I love music. It makes my heart sing. I would like to die on Mars, just not on impact. My biggest mistake is probably weighing too much on someone's talent and not someone's personality. I think it matters whether someone has a good heart. If you get up in the morning and think the future is going to be better, it is a bright day. Otherwise, it's not. If the rules are such that you can't make progress, then you have to fight the rules. Persistence is very important. You should not give up unless you are forced to give up. I'd like my fear emotion to be less because it's very distracting and fries my nervous system. I take the position that I'm always to some degree wrong, and the aspiration is to be less wrong. People work better when they know what the goal is and why. If you're co-founder or CEO, you have to do all kinds of tasks you might not want to do. If you don't do your chores, the company won't succeed. No task is too menial. You have to say, well, why did it succeed where others did not? Patience is a virtue, and I'm learning patience. It's a tough lesson. I think it's very important to have a feedback loop, where you're constantly thinking about what you've done and how you could be doing it better. I'd like to dial it back 5% or 10% and try to have a vacation that's not just email with a view. Disruptive technology, where you really have a big technology discontinuity, tends to come from new companies. When Henry Ford made cheap, reliable cars, people said, "Now, what's wrong with a horse?" That was a huge bet he made, and it worked. Brand is just a perception, and perception will match reality over time. Sometimes it will be ahead, other times it will be behind. But a brand is simply a collective impression some have about a product. Let's just skip original video games and movies and go straight to the sequel. We need things in life that are exciting and inspiring. It can't just be about solving some awful problem. There have to be reasons to get up in the morning. I don't think it's a good idea to plan to sell a company. Everything I want is on its way to me now. Someone suggested changing Dogecoin fees based on phases of the moon, which is pretty awesome. Where are the aliens? Really odd that we see no sign of them. Please don't mention the pyramids. Stacking stone blocks is not evidence of an advanced civilization. The rumor that I'm building a spaceship to get back to my home planet Mars is totally untrue. The ancient Egyptians were amazing, but if aliens built the pyramids, they would have left behind a computer or something. Work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in 80 to 100-hour weeks every week. This improves the odds of success. If other people are putting in 40-hour work weeks and you're putting in 100-hour work weeks, then even if you're doing the same thing, you know that you will achieve in 4 months what it takes them a year to achieve. It's okay to have your eggs in one basket, as long as you control what happens to that basket. Some people don't like change, but you need to embrace change if the alternative is a disaster. I say something and then it usually happens. Maybe not on schedule, but it usually happens. You shouldn't do things differently just because they're different. They need to be better. Passion and purpose scale. Always have, always will. No matter how hard you work, someone else is working harder. The path to the CEO's office should not be through the CFO's office, and it should not be through the marketing department. It needs to be through engineering and design. Dubai is a safe place, and I never came across anything to worry about. Life is too short for long-term grudges. People underestimate that I'm the world's first trillionaire. When I say this, people go, "Oh, he's not that rich." I am literally the world's first trillionaire, Elon Musk. I win. Goods and services are the real economies. Any form of money is simply the accounting thereof. Talent is extremely important. It's like a sports team. The team that has the best individual player will often win, but then there's a multiplier from how those players work together and the strategy they employ. It is important that people look forward to coming to work in the morning and enjoy working. I don't believe in process. In fact, when I interview a potential employee and he or she says that it's all about the process, I see that as a bad sign. The problem is that at a lot of big companies, process becomes a substitute for thinking. You're encouraged to behave like a little gear in a complex machine. Frankly, it allows you to keep people who aren't that smart, who aren't that creative. It's only impossible if you don't try. I think life on Earth must be about more than just solving problems. It's got to be something inspiring, even if it is vicarious. I would just question things. It would infuriate my parents, that I wouldn't just believe them when they said something because I'd ask them why. And then I'd consider whether that response made sense given everything else I knew. My mentality is that of a samurai. I would rather commit seppuku than fail. I give thanks that I am rich, well, and happy. I expect lavish abundance every day in every way. Optimism, pessimism, F that, we're going to make it happen. I've actually not read any books on time management. Focus on signal over noise. Don't waste time on stuff that doesn't actually make things better. We could definitely make a flying car, but that's not the hard part. The hard part is, how do you make a flying car that's super safe and quiet? Because if it's a howler, you're going to make people very unhappy. Work every waking hour. I always invest my own money in the companies that I create. I don't believe in the whole thing of just using other people's money. I don't think that's right. I'm not going to ask other people to invest in something if I'm not prepared to do so myself. I am worthy of an abundant life. My life is overflowing with joy, love, and abundance. In the distant future, people may outlaw driving cars because it's too dangerous. You can't have a person driving a 2-ton death machine. I don't create companies for the sake of creating companies, but to get things done. I do think there is a lot of potential if you have a compelling product, and people are willing to pay a premium for that. I think that is what Apple has shown. You can buy a much cheaper cell phone or laptop, but Apple's product is so much better than the alternative, and people are willing to pay that premium. Any sufficiently advanced magic is indistinguishable from technology. I think it's possible for ordinary people to choose to be extraordinary. You get paid in the direct proportion to the difficulty of problems you solve. When I was in college, I wanted to be involved in things that would change the world. Now I am. Frankly, I think most people can learn a lot more than they think they can. They sell themselves short without trying. What makes innovative thinking happen? I think it's really a mindset. You have to decide. In order to have clean air in cities, you have to go electric. If you want to grow a giant redwood, you need to make sure the seeds are okay, nurture the sapling, and work out what might potentially stop it from growing all the way along. Anything that breaks it at any point stops that growth. My motivation for all my companies has been to be involved in something that I thought would have a significant impact on the world. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. I don't spend my time pontificating about high-concept things. I spend my time solving engineering and manufacturing problems. Thanks for watching today's episode about Elon Musk. We hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. We would appreciate a subscribe or like. See you next time.